All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Solana Smoke. So thank you, Ross, for joining us today.
Been a while, isn't it? But
yeah, it's been a while.
Make a triumphant return.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I'm glad that you are already lighting up. What are you smoking today?
A Ramon Alones.
A Ramon Alones. All right,
small Corona.
Good size to for lunchtime. Yeah.
Podcast lunchtime size. Yeah.
They should make like a special format called podcast. You know,
podcast format.
Exactly when the cigar is done, you're like, okay, you've talked enough. It's now time to move on.
Yeah, maybe it's sort of, it's light at the start and then it gets punchier later, right?
So. And it keeps you as well aware, like a good nicotine levels. Your IDs are
yeah. And what are you smoking?
You know me, like most of the time my cigars don't have band, so we'll never know. I think that was a gift, as usually when they don't have bands. We'll tell you how it is.
Although you're trusting your local distributor, you no idea what's in it, but trusting
it usually goes both ways. It's either very good or very bad. But considering the kind of the firmness of it, I think it's going to be a good one. So today, what did we decide to speak on? It will be the SpaceX IPO watch along. So today we're June 2026. SpaceX is about to IPO very, very soon. And our good friends at Solana Floor did a video on, how it will impact basically crypto will impact the IPO and the IPO will impact crypto. So as usual, we'll do a quick watch along. Whenever you.
So Solana Floor is still going, isn't it? I thought they went bankrupt.
They are, yeah. I mean, the only thing I think they're in the Jito Foundation now. They're not under steps anymore.
They got rescued by the Jito Foundation then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm glad because they were the ones always at the conferences, pumping up interviews and I mean they're going 3 or 4 videos a week. They're weekly as well. So
Mr. Bahamas is Mr. Bahamas, if you like.
Mr. Thomas Bahamas is there.
He got rescued, right?
Yeah. And the only one that didn't survive really, I mean, Step and then Remora are kind of from the same. So shame, but it happens on crypto. We've seen it. Winter market hacks. You don't need much to just disappear on this difficult.
I mean, it's a bit like look, I don't trust the banks and want keep everything on chain, and then that happens, right? And you're like, God, if they'd only put a couple of million in a bank, or even if they'd put it in Coinbase, they would have been all right.
You never know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, now one thing that's popping up as well is SPX asking to be pardoned by Trump. So now people are actually betting on if Sam Bankman-Fried will be pardoned by Trump. We'll see. Juicy.
Might be a bit too soon.
Yeah. I mean,
early, I think.
I don't know if he's asking. Is the elections like a good time, obviously, to ask for?
Oh, it is Mr. Bahamas doing this video as well. So brilliant.
That's
brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. We've got the usual. I mean, as usual, he's showing the Bahamas just behind him.
Yeah, I mean, our goal on Solana Smoke should that be our ultimate goal should be that we get Mr. Bahamas on our actual podcast.
Wow. I think we need the whole team. Like
to comment on one of his videos,
or we get him to comment on ours.
Yeah.
Like
he comments on us watching one of his videos. That's like beyond Gen Z streaming, right?
I mean, it's very DeFi as well, like just looping the same stuff.
Yeah. Just recycling.
You're borrowing your assets that you borrowed from somewhere else and get yield on it. So let's have a quick look. So, like we said, I think they recorded it last end of May, so a couple of weeks back. And really, like IPO is happening, I think tomorrow or the day after. It'll be the ticker SPCX. So we'll really see, what if 2 weeks ago they were already aware of everything that was going, and we're gonna hear those crazy numbers. So whenever you need me to pause, Ross, you know what to do, and I'll just pause it. All right, Thomas, the floor is yours. With sound.
IPO. So it is the biggest IPO in history. And my favorite part about this is that crypto is playing a central role in the pricing of these assets. So to get started, yes, Elon is valuing this company at $2 trillion, and they're going to be raising about $80 billion. So it is the biggest IPO ever, about 2.5 times the size of the Saudi Aramco raise. It's awesome, right? You get exposure to Elon's empire and Earth going multiplanetary. So I think that part is pretty exciting.
I mean, the crazy thing as well is that now that SpaceX acquired XAI, yeah, you're getting basically the two for the price of one, no? Like before, XAI was its own kind of potential IPO, but now it's all in SpaceX, and it's all in very futuristic stuff as well. Like it's gonna be like their plans is really insane, no?
I did flick through the SEC filing, which I thought was it looked like very polished together, but they mentioned dinosaurs in it, which I thought was quite amusing. And
what is it to revive them? What's the plan?
Well, I think this could happen to us. Like we need to raise money to not end up like them. And I thought this must be the first SEC filing that references the dinosaurs and that. So, but let's see. I'm not sure why he thinks crypto's played an important part.
Yeah,
in it. So listen, see what he thinks. Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, it's going to be.
But I mean, saying that to your point, I think obviously you've got the Doge and all of his Bitcoin treasury all in there as well, haven't you?
But I think it's as well like just the whole industry. I mean, if you just look at, for example, all these pre-IPO companies that are trying to tokenize this market, they already are selling kind of shares of SpaceX. So like the crypto market is already kind of in SpaceX somehow, whether it's through debt or through other systems. Like the stocks is already somehow tokenized, legal or not. I mean, this is a completely different discussion, but there is really like a big audience. I mean, you've got all the Elon fan, all the pension funds that want in. So let's see.
The not so exciting part is that the market isn't necessarily the strongest right now. So can we survive this size IPO in the markets? Follow crypto, we follow a lot more about what's going on in the crypto markets, but this is unavoidable at this point. So we're keeping an eye on this. One thing that I don't really want to compare it to, but I've seen it out there, so we've got to bring it up, is the Trump meme coin moment. Is this the Trump meme coin moment for the traditional markets? It could be. All eyes on it, massive liquidity, and if we look back, Solana hit $290 and has been down only ever since, right? So I am hoping that this is not the case. I'm hoping that this is not the market top, but there are rumblings out there. Now, to get to the fun parts, this has been a massive advertisement for crypto, right? So crypto is like finding a new product market fit. I think that this is like the ultimate display of it, and it's hard to ignore at this point, right? We do have to give props to Hyperliquid. Their Trade XYZ product has been fantastic, and it's been everywhere. It's been.
So you see, this is what I was mentioning before. Like already, you've got like all these launch a SpaceX pre-IPO perpetual future contracts. So already on May 17, people were somehow trading it.
Well, I mean, what's been going on, isn't it, is that big investment firms have had allocation to SpaceX, and then they've somehow maybe sold that on, or maybe they haven't sold on the legal ownership, but they've sold on a sort of synthetic economic representation of it, and then the crypto companies then synthetic it on even further, right? So what you own, you don't. There's a lot of people who will not own SpaceX, but they'll have some extremely loose synthetic thing that has an economic value attached to it. So Yeah, I think the problem here, and I know a lot of those companies IPO and do not like this. Anthropic have come out and said they don't like it. It's illegal. A lot of people saying, oh yeah, we have SpaceX, where they've got absolutely no legal title to it at all. But then a lot of people don't care, right? I don't care about the legal title. I just want the economic exposure to it, right? So, well, I think where the whole crypto thing is good is they have they've been very innovative legal ways. They have not just legal ways, financial engineering as well, found a way to pass out to the ordinary person to get the economic exposure to some of these things which could be ginormous.
Exactly. I mean, I think like we always said, the builders really were the one that allowed such scheme to happen, because 10 years ago no one would have dreamt of being able to create your own token, and even less to have it linked, even if it's just synthetically to a pre-IPO company. So it's
for example, you might not you think you might own a token that is connected to the shares in SpaceX. Probably you don't. You've actually got debt with the company issuing it, and the value of that debt is linked to the value of their SpaceX holding. So you want to do your reading on it, right? You're going to want to see, okay, do these guys, what do they own? What actually is the legal right? And that's very easy to do. You can go on their website, look on the terms and conditions, read it, and that uncovers what you're actually getting. Do they have any legal title to anything, right? You see something like I think Ondo, they have like a security trustee. They've actually got a third party who hold the asset and confirm they own it, that sort of thing. So that's always very interesting to look into. I think a lot of people don't care, right? They just give me the token. They're like, the token's linked to this, and also I can trade it on something, or I can shove it in DeFi or whatever, right? So
I mean, that's the problem. Like, most of them are going to look at the name of the token. It says it's a token that is called SpaceX. It must be the right one. Where unfortunately, I think you and I we enjoy spending time in terms and conditions, but for most of the people, it's just a checkbox, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, let's see how. So in here, we're saying Hyperliquid values Elon Musk above 2 trillion. I think like they said on the S1, it's 1.75 trillion. So again, the market is not far off from the actual price. So let's see.
It's been central to the price discovery of SpaceX and other pre-IPO'd stocks at this point. Now, that is all leveraged exposure. People want exposure. You get leverage on Hyperliquid, but for us in Solana, you can get access to this in a spot asset, which I find a little bit more interesting, a little bit less degenerate. These are pretty fantastic products when you look at, actually giving people access to these assets, right? These are, some of the biggest assets in history, right? Some of the biggest wealth generating events are going to be the IPO of SpaceX, Anthropic, and OpenAI, where a big issue has been that only a select few people are actually making money on this, where the everyday person is left behind. Crypto is going to be changing that, democratizing this, decentralizing this. And I think that it's actually just like such a good overall fit for crypto. So not only does it raise the ceiling in what we can do with tokenized stocks, which there is a big push in, inside the regulators' minds right now, they want tokenized stocks. So that is big, but I think it also.
All right, I think that was an interesting. The SEC is leaning towards a decision to allow the trading of tokens that do not have the backing or consent of the public companies whose share they track. That was exactly what you were mentioning. Now, OpenAI and Anthropic not being happy, but according to
I mean, I think Anthropic said, "Oh, we're grumpy about this, and we're going to change our constitution." But I don't think they can completely ban it, right? Especially if it's done in a very synthetic financial engineering way. And I guess that's what the SEC are saying here. They're not saying, "Oh, you cannot." It's a create derivative, effectively, isn't it? They'd be saying you can't create a derivative on this. So yeah, that's interesting. I thought he's sort of glazing over it a little bit, isn't he? He's I mean, we have to remember he is not giving due credit that you're probably not actually getting clear legal ownership, right? You're just getting some sort of engineering exposure, right?
And I mean,
probably those SpaceX would be horrified about, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, and he does it I think for two main reasons. First, he's heavy on Solana focus, so the tech behind it works. So this is, I think, what he's saying. And the second point is just that, I mean, we don't know if it's legal or not, and it's just that it's happening. People are doing it, and so we just want to talk about it ultimately. And
I wasn't sure when you sort of about price discovery. I didn't think that was sort of relevant either, right? I think I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I guess there's some price on secondary token markets for these things. Maybe that gives you an idea for it, but I don't know. I don't think if that's very relevant to these firms, right?
No, especially when they're trading at such crazy multiples. I think you just get hype, and especially when you're trading the futures. I mean, they're really oftentimes not priced correctly. So that's why he was then saying, okay, the spot trading makes more sense. So you actually have, you have companies, for example, like Notice.co, that allow you to really kind of have the real value of the IPO stock. So I guess this gives you more of a sense of really what is it going to be trading at. But anyway, an IPO event, it's always crazy in terms of price discovery and liquidity. So we'll just have to see who gets the chance to actually go into it, and what are you actually going to end up with, because it's oversubscribed. I mean, he was saying 80 billion of liquidity will be kind of open, but for sure you have way more money that wants in. So the graph that day will be quite insane.
That is big, but I think it also creates a higher floor. Not just because we are at Solana Floor, but it creates such a big product market fit for trading tokenized stocks, pre-IPO'd stocks, that I think that there is a floor. Let's say the bear case for crypto now includes trading all assets, whether they've IPO'd or not, and holding tokenized stocks, using them in DeFi and Solana. So I think that creates a bit of a floor there. And then,
I mean, here I think he's just mixing terms. Like on one side you're talking about the floor price, and now like you're talking about the same floor, but it's completely different. I think the term there.
I think he makes a fair point here that the whole hype around tokenization of the pre-IPO stuff has perhaps absolutely brought people to interest and to experiment with tokenized stocks, actually. So I think that's probably the first fair point he's made.
Yeah, I think that what now is happening, we're building foundation, technological and legal, that will allow in the future this case to happen a lot more often. I think in the future, most of the company will IPO kind of both on chain and off chain. And maybe SpaceX here is kind of the first use case, partially at least.
I mean, if a firm that can do tokenization can get an actual allocation in the future, right, rather than just like BlackRock or someone, then they've actually got the title to it, right? But I expect that might be hard, right? Because those big Wall Street firms, I'm sure, get their allocation first, right? So,
I mean, let's see. I guess, if they see now, I mean, clearly, like today or tomorrow, when the IPO will happen, the market will tell you if there is such kind of demand. And most companies, I mean, I'm sure BlackRock can easily kind of spun up a product that will allow them to kind of do both at the same time. Now it's really just kind of trial by fire, this event.
The bull case includes trading all of crypto as well as all stocks. Basically, any assets are going to be tradable. So I think that this is actually really big. I don't think I've seen people talking about that enough. It's one of the bigger developments that we have to keep our eyes on. So now these tokens and getting exposure to this has obviously been contested a bit by mainly Anthropic and OpenAI. So I think it was on May 12th, Anthropic dropped that they are declaring all unauthorized sales void. OpenAI followed shortly after, and the tokens plunged like 40% right after. So if you look at the pre-stocks valuation, it immediately dropped 40%. It has since recovered though. So I think that a lot of the details came out, and it's not necessarily as clear of a case that they can do that. They can't just declare shares void. There isn't a final solution there. So I'm not 100% on which way it's going to go, but it's not as cut and dry as they made it out to be. So, and you can see that in the price.
I mean, everybody just seems so confused on this, right? Nothing's changed, right? You can never, when they issue shares, there's transfer restrictions usually, right, on how you can deal with those shares, right? And quite often you need the approval of the company, right? That's not changed. Yeah, nothing's changed. So I didn't really get this announcement. It was all very, oh my God, Anthropic have said this and all that, right? But nothing had actually changed. It was always like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, when they're saying it's void, I mean, what are you voiding?
It was always void, right? And so unless these people who are tokenized, they need to explain how are they connecting the token to the underlying thing, and quite often it's a whole long chain of things, right? And probably somewhere along the line there isn't a good title. So you're going to be wanting to look for the companies that do have good legal title. Or they've just done it in a very, very clever synthetic way, right? Maybe where they don't need the legal title, but they're able to expose you to just purely the economic benefit rather than not the legal ownership of the asset.
Yeah, I mean, this is because ultimately this is what the share really entitles you to, no? Like not only I wanted to just like read here. That was the drop of the shares, of course, entitles you to the economic benefit, but as well usually the rights to vote during the shareholder meetings. So most of the time they're just not present, and that's fine. I guess most of the people actually don't use their voting rights, even if they're just holding a normal share. Well,
I mean, most people actually don't care about the legal ownership. They just want the exposure to the economic benefit, right?
And I mean, this is what they get as well through a standard ETF. Most of the time, they usually don't get voting rights. So it hasn't changed really. It's just that, I don't know if then, Anthropic and OpenAI were using this, kind of another public, just to have their name in the news again.
Could be, I mean, where it could have had an effect was that it might have made it harder for some of these tokenizers to actually acquire the actual IPO exposure, right? Before, maybe there was less due diligence on it, and somebody sold it onto you, but now maybe people are going to be checking more. So that might be the only way that might have affected things. But I would have thought all of those checks were needed anyway. I would have thought it would have been impossible to actually sell on those that allocation that the big funds would have had, or whoever got onto them first. It would be I would be pretty sure you can't just sell it on, right? You need a approval of SpaceX to do it. Yeah,
I guess most of the time it's like that. So not really changing.
I actually think a lot of the big Wall Street funds I think they probably were selling stuff on illegally.
So you think this kind of uncovered something that has been happening forever, but just kind of no one was really paying attention, because ultimately for the company there was no change of like the shares were
maybe there was a blind eye turned to it before. Like they're like BlackRock say, we're going to farm out 100 million of our 1 billion, we're just going to do it in SPV and sell it to some guys, and we'll and that thing hasn't got legal title because it needed approval of the existing SpaceX shareholders, say. But they did it anyway. SpaceX know it. They just turn a blind eye to it. I don't know. That could be where Anthropic kind of called it out and said, "Oh, we don't like it," which sort of spooked everybody. Yeah, but interesting. Yeah, it's sort of it's sort of like different people in different pecking order getting different exposure, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if it's been happening forever, it's just now you've got a different lens, the crypto people looking at it, and them, they're just much more maybe looking at the details or seeing kind of the transparent element of it. Like, okay, now we want everyone to have access to it, but I guess the the old firms, the old VC, like that was never their kind of concept, not to give access to everyone. It was more, give access to selected few, and that's why maybe they're a bit angry now.
Yeah.
Valuation, it immediately dropped 40%. It has since recovered though. So I think that a lot of the details came out, and it's not necessarily as clear of a case that they can do that. They can't just declare shares void. There isn't a final solution there. So I'm not 100% on which way it's going to go, but it's not as cut and dry as they made it out to be. So, and you can see that in the price. The best part about these is, you'll be able to see the decision in the pricing of these assets. So it seems like it's going okay for now, but when we talk about SpaceX, Anthropic, and OpenAI, these are three multi-trillion-dollar companies. I know that SpaceX is 2 trillion, Anthropic is somewhere around 1 trillion, and OpenAI maybe is a little bit underneath that, but these are three massive events. And this was something that Raoul Pal brought up to us when we interviewed him at Breakpoint.
90% of all price action in Bitcoin and crypto overall is explained by one macro factor: liquidity.
He said that, crypto is the most reflexive asset to liquidity, right?
So were we in inception here, Ross? Like he was watching a video that we were watching a video.
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah.
Also we're going. So, I mean, here, what he's saying is just, apparently crypto will dictate if the price is right. No, that's kind of where he's trying to lead us, which I don't really see why, putting them side by side would make sense, but that's interesting.
No, because it's going to have a price on a normal stock exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it's gonna have like a sort of price, the tokenized price on various different crypto markets, which is completely separate, right? And yeah, that maybe is driven more by what Raoul Pal is going to say here, is that how much liquidity is actually in those secondary crypto markets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's got absolutely no reflection on the stock price at all. I would have thought. I can't see how. Okay, well, if the crypto tokenized SpaceX is going up because what, China legalized crypto all of a sudden, and all the liquidity flows in from China, maybe that would move up the SpaceX price on the normal market.
Or maybe it's the lack of liquidity that would, there's so many people that want to buy in, but there's just so little tokenized stock. So that the price would go up. But again, this price would not be the actual price. I think in this case, because they're not doing a side-by-side kind of IPO on-chain and off-chain, like I would still be looking at the actual stock market NASDAQ price versus.
Yeah, exactly. Like his point would make more sense if SpaceX had actually done as you just said, they had actually done their own tokenization of their stock. Yeah.
Then you could clearly say, okay, no, we're going to keep them aligned or whatever. But it's just a copy of a copy of a copy of a tokenized version.
That's right. It's Inception, isn't it? It's Inception.
How many levels deep are we going?
Yeah, right. In the legal ownership, not just our videos. In the legal ownership, it's just when you think you've got legal title, you find out you didn't, and actually it's a derivative, right? Then I'll pop up to the next level. Then actually it's I've got some debt instrument actually. So, yeah. You're a long way away from reality of owning SpaceX, I'm afraid, with these things.
Do I own anything? It's kind of asking yourself, are we again, like Elon Musk always said, we're clearly in the simulation, so does it matter?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what Raoul has to say.
So if there's a lot of liquidity in the system, that's when crypto does best. Now, when the liquidity gets drained from the markets and is all going to go into these IPOs, that could be a problem for crypto. We have to keep our eyes on this. I'm hoping that this is not the top.
So what he's saying, that everyone is going to sell their crypto to get into the stock market IPO. Is that, did I get it right?
Yeah, I think he's saying there's going to be some sell pressure, isn't there? Basically. So yeah.
forever top of the markets. I'm hoping that crypto can keep its liquidity and ultimately benefit from this. But it's something that we're going to have to see. The craziest part about this is, so SpaceX is going to be valued at $2 trillion, while the total crypto market cap is right around $2.5 trillion. So, it's crazy to see how much this is worth versus all of crypto. Originally, I was like, man, why aren't we higher? But then I started to think about it as like, all right, if we are, if that's where we're at, we have such a long way to go up, especially if we're in crypto, in aggregate, able to actually price these assets better and give better access to people. I think that it is, a really strong product market fit. And I think that this, while it's a big liquidity event, I think that it's also a great advertisement for what crypto can do. And I think that there's just a few hurdles like clarity and a few more regulations that we need in our favor for these to really take off. So I'm excited about it. I think that tokenized stocks in crypto makes a lot of sense, especially once you look at like composability in DeFi. So I'm excited about this. I think that this is, obviously the trade of, right now is keeping your eyes on this, what's going to happen. I don't personally have, any access to these and don't necessarily want to make any recommendations to it, but it seems like there is a big demand to get exposure to these. But yeah, I feel like this was worth diving into. Keep an eye on it. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he sort of doesn't clearly say is that crypto is essentially a legal arbitrage, right?
Tokenized crypto, you mean?
Crypto in general, it's a legal arbitrage, right? And that's all that's going on here, right? Yeah, the tokenization has created a legal arbitrage that you can get some exposure to these things that you might not have been able to, right? And whether that's very good arbitrage or not is depends on who you're dealing with, right? So that's probably all you need to know. Do your homework as always. And,
not financial advice.
Yeah. I think he's probably overplaying slightly the significance of crypto on the actual thing itself. I mean, maybe it is a good fit, isn't it? It's sort of futuristic company, and some nice, whatever. But yeah, I mean, why? It's interesting. Why didn't SpaceX do their own in-house tokenization? No, done that.
I guess it's already kind of a company that's a lot future kind of proofing, if we want to say. I think they have kind of close to 20,000 Bitcoin on sheet, so they are already kind of doing all this crazy stuff. But when you're already IPOing at such a high price, I don't think you want to start mixing signals.
Maybe, yeah, but I don't think they're not IPOing all their stock, are they? It's only like a portion of it, I think.
Yeah,
I might be wrong on that. I don't think it's 100%, and so they could have gone, right, well, 1% we'll give out to the common man, right, via a token, and other people can't do that because they don't have the exposure, or it's a big legal hurdle to do that, right? But obviously they can, right? So yeah, they didn't do that, right? And so it's just relied on all the sort of small innovators in the crypto ecosystem to do it. But yeah, maybe they wonder why they didn't. Yeah, maybe there's a legal reason. If you're doing a normal one, you can't do that. They just didn't even think about it, or it takes too much time. But if somebody was going to do it, it would have been like Elon Musk, wouldn't it? He would have gone, oh yeah, I'll give out a percentage on.
You could have,
common man. Yeah, no. I mean, I think I did hear they allocated some to like Robinhood and stuff. No, didn't they? You could buy it on Robinhood. So that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the online.
I mean, yeah. So maybe you don't even need to bother with a token. Actually, you can just do it there. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I mean, the last bit, maybe now that you're touching on the fact that they're IPOing like a small portion. I think what's interesting to think of is as well all the employees that are going to start having their shares liquid as well. That's going to be as well an interesting play. I guess they're going to be locked up the same way that most of the crypto projects are being locked up at the beginning, not able to sell. But that will add as well for sure some liquidity if you can finally sell your paper shares into actual cash. I mean, most will jump on some of that exposure. So we'll see. That's I mean, let's see in the upcoming days, maybe we can do a kind of a post-mortem of what actually happened. Just looking at the graph, seeing what direction it went, and we'll see. So thank you, Ross, for today's episode. I think that was insightful. Thank you, Mr. Bahamas, for always
Yeah, good to see they're still going. That's been actually that's made me more happy than the SpaceX IPO to see they're still going. So well done them. Yep.
All right. Well,
awesome. Thanks, Maxime. Yep.
And we'll catch up soon in another episode. Bye-bye.